Sorry. I apologize.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Lost the territorial acknowledgement, sadly, but if you wanted to start from the top for the agenda, at least that would be recorded for posterity.
Okay. We can do that. So, calling the meeting to order, and Hannah is taking attendance today.
Yes. So we have 39 members, and we do have quorum today.
And before we adopt the agenda, I'd like to make an amendment to include the adoption of this financial report for the first quarter of the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year. So may I have a motion to adopt the agenda with that amendment?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second
Any
it.
motions? Alicia seconds. Is there anybody not in favor of adopting the agenda? Okay, motion carried. And now I'd like to move to adopting the minutes from the 2024 AGM. So may I have a motion to adopt the 2024 AGM minutes?
Just a point of clarity. Last year, the last AGM we held was the EGM, correct? The extraordinary annual meeting.
That is correct. That is the last
Yeah.
meeting we held.
I'll make the motion to adopt those minutes.
Andrew motions.
I can second.
Alicia seconds. Is anybody not opposed to adopting the EGM minutes from 2024? Okay, carried all. All right, next up is the financial report. So I'm going to pass this off to Karen.
Okay. Hi. I'm going to share my screen and probably just go over the profit and loss for the last fiscal year.
Karen, just very quickly, you might not see the notes, but just we have to note the financial audit's not required for this year. Before you go into the presentation of the report.
Okay, sounds good. There it is. There's the note. Biggest news, I guess, is we are a charity now. And that affects the very end of last fiscal, but mostly going forward, that's going to change things a little bit in terms of reporting. But yeah, pretty big news, pretty big achievement, and is yeah, just going to change things a bit. Let me see if I can share my screen.
I'll just have to stop sharing it. I'll allow you there.
Okay, great. Here we go. And we're just gonna. Okay, how does that look? Can you see that all right?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. We can look at the big numbers. It's probably the most interesting. I think this report should go to everyone as well. But in terms of profits or income, we got a lot of donations and big grants that came in last year, totaling to about 34,000. So quite a big achievement there as well to raise all that money. and we spent most of it last year too, but all to good causes. One of the really big items, I guess, was, or bigger items, was to get our charitable status. So we paid Keith his consulting costs for that, and that was quite a long process. But I think we came in, I think, a bit less than we had expected, so that's still pretty good. This is this line item here, and yeah, I don't know what else to point out. I think what should we talk about? Fundraising costs. I think that's something that probably does stand out a little bit, and we will need to address in the future. But we had a big event that was very, very successful, but the costs were still a little bit higher than probably they should be. And going forward, we need to, now being a charity, need to address that a little bit and make sure that if we do fundraising, it is the outcomes from it make sense as well. Nonetheless, very successful event, and I think it was worth it. We came out last year, at the end of last year, with about 10 grand plus, which is great, and I think a lot more than we did expect. So again, very positive here. So yeah, that's kind of the very brief summary. If there are notes, questions, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'll just comment on that point you made about our now being a charity, and one of the most important things that we need to observe is ensuring that our charitable activities are warranted or justified. And when we look back on that, technically, I think that event took place before we became a charity. But
Yeah.
In the end, I think when we were projecting those costs, we as a board decided the event itself was valuable, not just for charitable purposes, but in sort of in pursuit of our mandate as an organization. So there's a bit of a gray area there, that sort of a discussion with CRA, I suppose, on when we organize events that have a charitable function, but also serve our mandate in other respects. We had to think through like what that means in terms of how revenues balance with expenses from the CRA perspective. But yeah, so looking back, I think I agree with you, Kieran. That was definitely a worthwhile event, even if it was a bit expensive.
And on a sort of personal note, this is going to be my last financial report. I'm I'm stepping down after this, but it's been interesting for sure, and I'm going to be around for other things related to Imerss, but this is the last thing in my role.
Actually, you have one more financial report to give. But I'll just motion now to move on, since you called for questions. Unless anyone has questions, I'll motion to adopt this financial report for the last fiscal year.
I can second that.
I need you to set up a stroller in the bedroom. I've made an executive decision.
Oh, Andrew, you are muted.
Okay, I was just going to suggest, since Emily is coming back online here, I believe that motion passed, unless there's any dissent. So that motion was passed, and I'm just going to facilitate transition to the next item on our agenda, which is adoption of the first quarterly report for this financial year. Karen, we'll invite you to share your screen again to give that financial report.
Any chance we can push that back by 1 point? I just need to help out with the baby for a second.
Okay. Yes, I think we'll just pause here. Emily, how are things on your end?
Sorry.
Oh no, seems Emily is having some issues with her connection. Sorry, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. Just give it a moment for both Kieran and Emily to stabilize here. This year's been a big one for Imerss, where we had two of our directors welcome children into their lives. I guess that was a bit of news we could share. That's always interesting for maintaining an organization when two of your directors begin families. So yeah, congrats, Kieran. And then, of course, my sister was another director who's not present currently, but she has also brought a niece into the world for me. Say, beautiful thing. Said. Emily, are you online there?
Here.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, well, we just paused so I acknowledged the adoption of that financial report that Kieran just gave, and so we're just at
Yep.
the next item, just so you can resume, is the next quarterly or the first quarter financial report for this year. But Kieran asked for a moment because he's attending to his child.
Okay. So that is for motioning to adopt the first quarter. Are we going to go into the first quarter, or are we?
Kieran is attending to his child at
Okay.
the moment. So
Okay.
I'm not sure as
So
the
we
chair,
can,
if you'd like to resume and come back to it when he's back, then that's probably we can.
okay, we can continue on to our overview of activities and then come back to adopting the first quarter when he returns.
Okay, that cues me. So just one moment here. Let me get back to my slide deck here. So just one second here on. Okay. Okay, so once again, thanks everyone for being here. We're really grateful that you would join us. With the next section of the proceedings, I'm just going to go through a brief summary of some of the major activities that took place over the last fiscal year. First, as Kieran mentioned, we are officially a charity, basically as of the end of last year. This has been a really long road for our organization, and I'd just like to thank our board and especially Keith Erickson, who played an important consulting role helping us to make this milestone. And thanks also to Mark Weber, who made a major donation to support Keith in that role. So just a moment of congratulations to our board. It's been no small feat, and it's great to have made that milestone. One of the biggest projects for Imerss, even since our inception for the last 4 years, has been the Haithacum Ecocultural Mapping Project, which Imerss has advanced in partnership with White Swan Environmental, an Indigenous NGO down in Lummi Territories in Washington. Well, that project has finally culminated this year with the major deliverable, which was the creation of a website that builds on this framework for ecocultural mapping we've been designing collaboratively. So the website brings together the perspectives of Indigenous community members on a place of great significance here on Galiano, both ecologically and culturally, and that is Retreat Cove, or Haithacum in the Hul'qumi'num language. And I'd just like to thank Janine, who's not here present today, for her role leading this project forward. It's been a huge amount of work. As I said, it's been ongoing since even the organization began, so over 4 years now. And I guess it's worth noting, this type of work really can only proceed as fast as the trust that is needed to build healthy relationships of respect and reciprocity. So I'm just really grateful that we had the opportunity to set an example for that under Janine's leadership. The website's now online. We've shared it previously in a newsletter. So anyone who'd like to explore this ecocultural map, which is this sort of tapestry of ecocultural knowledge surrounding Retreat Cove that was woven together by many, many people over, like I said, 4 years. So we'd like to invite our membership definitely to check this out. The link is here on the slide. Yep. Let's see. So just with the completion of this last major stage of the project, it's currently on hiatus as we explore possibilities for the continuation of this practice with White Swan Environmental, because the goal has always been to sort of adapt the outcomes of the pilot project we did on Galiano to support their work. And Janine's been exploring a number of avenues for that with Shirley in the background recently. And there is still some funding right now for basically mobilizing the outcomes of this work, especially on Galiano Island, where we do hope to do some more outreach with the community around Retreat Cove. There's a possibility of some signage or infrastructure so that visitors can be more aware of the importance of this place, which is otherwise being frequented by tourists. And there's, for anyone living on Galiano, there is a real dilemma there in terms of, yeah, how that place is being represented. It even appeared on a Canada Post stamp this recently, and in spite of the fact that people are trespassing on private property to get there, and virtually no one knows about the importance of this place from local Indigenous perspectives. So, yeah, needless to say, that remains an important part of what we hope to do on that project. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Florence James Theus, a Penellicut elder whose knowledge was central to this project. Really, she was the motivation and inspiration for it, given knowledge that she had already shared about the importance of this place for her growing up. In this photo from June 14th, 2024, just last year, Florence was recognized with an honorary Doctor of Letters from Vancouver Island University for generously contributing her wealth of cultural and ecological expertise toward research, education, health, cultural, and other important purposes. And there were really many wonderful moments of connection with Theus over the course of the last 4 years in this project. And we also, mindful of her legacy and connection to Chéitacum, we hope to honor her life and legacy through the final stages of this project through what we're intending at Retreat Cove, and Janine's giving some thought to that now. So yes, just like to honor the life and legacy of Florence James. So yeah, this has been big work for our organization, and I'd just like to acknowledge the many relationships and partnerships that formed to support it. And yeah, so especially the elders like Florence who contributed their knowledge. Haitchikasiem, thanks to everyone who's been involved. In October of last year, we mentioned the Salish Sea Symposium we organized in part as a charity, but also had this function as a panel discussion centering on Indigenous knowledges and community science, scholarship, and art. So we'd like to acknowledge our gratitude for the diverse perspectives that were shared by Rosemary Georgeson, Kusamat Shirley Williams, DeAndre Smiles, Jessica Hallenbeck, and Bryony Penn. For anyone interested in these proceedings, they're recorded. They're up on our YouTube channel. That was a really amazing conversation as a centerpiece for that event. So just wanted to note that was a big outcome of the last years of activities. And Imerss continues to work with the Hakai Institute through the role of Janine. Everyone knows her love for crab babies on the Sentinels of Change project, a long-term study on the population dynamics of Dungeness crabs in the Salish Sea. I think that last year was our 3rd year involved in that. So that's been incredible, like really driven by Janine's dedication to crab babies. And so, yes, once again, thanks to Janine, who's not here. This year, we're currently also exploring a complementary partnership through the same program, Sentinels of Change, that would integrate our ongoing diatom research with the deployment of autonomous reef monitoring structures in the Salish Sea. These passive monitoring systems consist of stacks of plates that sort of mimic the complex structure of the sea bottom. And, over time, they become colonized by different marine species. And then periodically, if this goes forward, the team would recover those plates and see who moved into the structure. And so if this project goes forward, we'd be helping with one of these autonomous reef structures, and would be collecting on every other month, basically, samples of benthic diatoms that accumulate on them. So yeah, this would be a really neat opportunity to continue to work with Hackeye on Sentinels of Change, but also build out capacity for our and purpose, I suppose, for our ongoing diatom research. So that's an important or exciting potential development.
Andrew, how big is that structure?
I think it's about Emily. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, but it were like about a meter by a meter or less, maybe half meter by half meter.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's something in that range. We are exploring potential sites, and I have to go out and like dive and examine the seafloor at one of them just to see if there's enough rock to bolt one of those things down. Yeah, so nearing the end of reporting on this last year, the Jansen Legacy Project's also been a big area of activity for Imerss. And so just for those who might not be aware, Harvey was an accomplished amateur botanist and naturalist who was endeared to many in British Columbia's natural history community. And during his career, over the course of about 50 years or so, since the 70s, Harvey collected over 3,000 vascular plant specimens, mostly from the Southern Gulf Islands, and curated comprehensive species checklists documenting the flora of the region. And this creates a really, really important baseline record of the regional flora, a vital resource for understanding future ecological change. But a lot of that work remains undigitized, and so that is to say unavailable to the scientific community. And so this project's all about preserving that legacy. And as an outcome of that work this year, we made some, we've fully transcribed one of Harvey's field notebooks that documented his surveys of Texada Island in the late 90s, which included a lot of important occurrence records for a fern like Woodwardia fimbriata, a rare fern, and other moonworts. So yeah, that should be coming out soon. And in the meanwhile, through the support of the Canadian Institute of Ecology and Evolution, we're continuing this work right now with a focus on his first journal, which laid the basis for a flora of Saturna Island that he published in Ciesis. And so, yeah, we're really grateful to the CIEE for that. We've had interns involved for several years now. And yeah, it's very meaningful and important work. Let's see. Last year, we also presented outcomes of our work at several conferences and webinars, including a community science webinar that was hosted by the Coastal Douglas Fir Conservation Partnership. And we also attended the Canadian Society for Ecology Evolution conference in Vancouver and a botany conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan, through one of our colleagues, to present on some of the research that Imerss is involved in. So that was a big year for just sharing the word of our work. And so this is the point at which I would pass it off to Emily to talk more about like what we're currently doing, looking forward. But maybe, Emily, we want to go back to Kieran if you're available. I'll just go back to the financial report slide for the first quarter.
Sorry for the delay. Babies. First quarter, fairly low on activities. Been a fairly calm first few months of the fiscal year. But one really like big thing to talk about, and I think Andrew will touch on this later more in detail, but we have payroll expenses, which means we have staff. We're able to pay staff for the summer. Andrew, I'll let you talk about it more later, but I think it's exciting that we're able to hire someone. yeah, this is really the big item that shows up here. Bit of a negative bottom line for the first quarter, but that will balance out over the rest of the year. There's some more funding coming in. There's already some that came in between the end of the quarter and now, but it's just not captured here.
Just curious, Karen, are you we can't see the actual report, so I'm not sure if you're intending to share it.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not sharing.
I am able to see it.
Oh, you are. I don't know why. I have too many windows open, so for some reason. Oh, I see. My bad, Karen. Sorry.
No,
Okay.
I can see it as well. So I think it's just whatever view Andrew's got. So I think we're good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for confirming. Yeah, I mean, that's it really. As I said, fairly calm so far this year. More things to be added later, but this first quarter has been very calm.
Yeah, and just to reassure the membership regarding that negative bottom line there, we have several major donations coming from the Victoria Natural History Society and other sources that just haven't arrived in our account yet. That's why it's not reflecting. To support that work, we applied for a major grant to move this program forward for this year that didn't come through, but we've managed to find supplementary funding from some foundations like the Victoria Natural History Society and other sources to go ahead with it. Anyways, we had to scale back to some extent, but yeah, it was important for us to. We went through the whole hiring process and everything we wanted to, or recruiting process. We decided to support these applicants, and it's been a joy to work with them.
And it's probably a good point to point out that Andrew did a lot of that work for fundraising and put in incredible amounts of work to make up for the balance that fell through and also just make this happen in the first place. So big shout out.
Cheers, Karen. I noticed that Emily's having a hard time maintaining connections, so I may have to substitute her role as chair.
Oh,
so, yeah.
hey, Andrew, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm just calling in because my internet is just not working, but I can continue to chair from just from the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're just Karen just finished presenting on the first quarter for this year. So you can take it from present the motion.
Okay, so I would like or may I call for a motion to adopt the first quarter report of this year?
I'll motion.
Okay, here are motions.
I'll second. Oh, looks like Barb has seconded.
Barb seconds. Okay, great. Is there anybody not in favor of adopting the financial report? All right, carried all.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks for, thank you so much, Karen, and for putting all of that together. I know it takes a lot of work, so we appreciate all that you've done in terms of finances and acting as treasurer.
Indeed.
The reluctant treasurer.
Okay. I'll just resume sharing. My goodness. Okay. Okay, Emily, I'm not sure where you dropped last either, but I basically completed the overview of activities for last year. And so now I'm just going to pass it off to you to speak to what's continuing this year.
Sounds good. So we have our activities underway in 2025 and 2026, starting with the recent diatom paper that we just published this year. Very exciting work. So I'd first like to acknowledge the recent research outcome from Imerss's collaboration with the Parfrey Lab, and big congratulations to Andrea Jackman, all of the members of Parfrey Lab, and also those who collaborated through Imerss, especially the Weber Lab, for their publication on combining molecular and morphological approaches to improving our understanding of diatom diversity and ecology. This was a huge undertaking, not only involving hours and hours of microscopy work, really detailed taxonomic research, but also quite a lot of newer techniques, molecular techniques, doing gene sequencing to compare these different approaches. So it's a very insightful study. Andrea actually presented some early insights into this work back in 2023. So if anybody's interested, you can check out that talk that she gave on our YouTube channel, but otherwise feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to access the research article. Okay. I can't actually see if you're switching slides, Andrew, but
Yeah, I
continue
switched it.
on.
We're on the next slide.
Okay, great. Okay. So recently we had another research article accepted for publication in the journal Plants, People, Planet. And this paper builds on the last decade of biodiversity monitoring on Galiano Island, advancing the novel protocol for the detection of species extirpation, focusing on plant species. So we'll be excited to share more with the community once the paper is published.
Next slide.
And this year, Imerss has 2 summer staff working on a biodiversity change assessment that will bring together many facets of Imerss into an online report on biodiversity change in the region of the south coast of British Columbia. So it's still too early to speak to these outcomes, but I want to take a moment to thank Shane Zelenko and Emma Mentions for their excellent work on this front. They've been working really hard, and I'm really excited to see what they'll produce at the end of their term.
Yeah, this is what Karen mentioned. These are the 2 summer staff we brought on for the year. One, Shane is in a joint position with the Galiano Conservancy, so on the ground here on Galiano. And then Emma Mentions, she's a recent graduate from UBC who's playing a role as a data scientist to synthesize a lot of our work into this report. So it's been amazing working with them, and look forward to sharing more about what they've been up to when it's time comes.
Yeah.
I'll just advance the slide here, Emily.
Okay. So I'd also like to thank those who participated in our macroalgae surveys this year. Together, we collected nearly 200 samples representing a great diversity of marine algae, which will add to a baseline record drawing from over 50 years of surveys around Galiano Island. And we are grateful to Bridget Clarkston, Dan White, Dave Cochran, Douglas Swanston, Emily Pine, Hannah Carvendale, Path Quayle, Katie Hind, Matt Lenny, Michelle Ripple, Sandra Lindstrom, Tim Polico, and the Haka Institute for supporting this research.
Slide.
Finally, this will be indeed a big year for Imerss research. So I can report that we are nearing completion of a comprehensive annotated survey of the diatomized report for the Salish Sea with over 900 species of diatoms and counting. So this beautiful diatom here is imaged by Mark Weber, Elaine Humphrey, and their team through the Advanced Microscopy Facility at UVic. And this is one of many novel reports of diatom species for the Salish Sea. And congrats to the many people who have contributed to this long-standing project.
Yeah, before we proceed, Emily, is Elaine's here, I think. Do you have anything to comment on?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Elaine?
No, it's been great. The paper's got 43 still to add to it in the imaging, but it's all good. And thanks to Ron and Melanie, who are my 2 volunteers. Ron comes in on a Wednesday afternoon and Melanie comes in on a Thursday afternoon. And I have to say, having retired volunteers is so good because they're so reliable. Undergraduates are great to begin with, but then they get exams and then they have to revise, and they have to get a job in the summer, so I miss them. So With Ron and Melanie, I don't have that problem, and they keep keeping going. It's all good. So when I can't do anything, they're there, and it's great.
Yeah, this diatom we just got like it actually came up during our macroalgae surveys when we were collecting algae in Porlier Pass at Dionisio Reef. And Mark was just, he can't help himself. This project keeps going forever because he keeps finding new things. And he insisted I should bring him some red algae from that sampling event there. And yeah, we pulled it up and he found all these wonderful new diatoms. This one's a new report. It was just confirmed, I think, by a researcher. There was some question about it, right, Elaine? He had to outsource a little bit to someone who's in Texas, of all places, I believe, right now.
Well, trigoniums are usually triangular, and this one isn't. And there's a quadra type as well. It's 4 sides. So the holes in the middle have a different pattern to trigonium that we are comfortable with. So yeah, it did. Yes, but we're going to lose Mark on the 16th till February because he's going on retreat. But Arian, the one second from the left, is going to be our main person while he's on retreat. It's all good.
Yeah, this is a great example set for community science. I think that Aryan's been training for so long with Mark and is now pretty competent, I think, what I understand, in processing these diatoms, hey?
And this and the picture is in the Imerss lab on Galliano. So the tabletop goes on the table there. That's the tabletop in the background.
Yeah.
So and while I'm at it, and I can add a plug here, they have the tabletop till the 16th, which means that the North by Northwest CBC radio program, where I put the NXNW picture puzzle, has to have images for it while it's on Galliano. And they've had some volunteers come in and take some pictures, but I'm going to be desperate next week, I think. So if you have a sample you want to take pictures of, take it up and see Arian. And I need the pictures. Thank you.
Okay, Emily.
Yep, thanks, Elaine. Okay, so at this point, we would like to take a moment to thank our membership and the many volunteers and donors who have supported Imerss over the last 3 years. 3 years plus. We wouldn't be here without you. And we'd also like to acknowledge 3 outgoing directors, Laura Jimenez, Kendall McLaughlin, and Kieran Horndorf, for their service to the organization. And if you'd like to be involved in Imerss, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at info@imerss.org. And next is our motioning to approve reports. May I have a motion to approve activity reports as presented?
I can motion that.
I'll second it.
Hannah?
Ed Andrews, yeah.
Thank you, Ed. Is there anybody that is not in favor of approving the activity reports as they are presented? Okay, carried all.
We're about to proceed to the election of directors, but I'll just once again echo Emily's gratitude for the 3 directors who are stepping down this year. So Kevin and Kendall and Kieran, who's here with us today. Kieran, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you a lot. I think it's fair to say. So thanks so much for your longstanding role in the organization. You've been with us for a long time. And Kendall, who's not here,
Yeah,
thanks so much for your enthusiasm. You're awesome. And Kevin, I got it too. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so this year, there are 6 director seats open for election in accordance with our bylaws. Board members may serve 1, 2, or 3-year terms depending on our needs and also their individual availability. 6 directors have expressed their interest in continuing or renewing their terms, including myself, Hannah Carpendale, Alicia Jones, Elaine Humphrey, Andrew Simon, and Ruth Waldick. In addition, the board is pleased to nominate Megan Wise to join the board as a new director. So this brings the total number of nominees to 7, with 5 more seats still open. At this point in time, we would like to open the floor for any additional nominations. So if you would like to nominate yourself or another member to serve as a director, please let us know now. Again, I would like to call for nominations from the floor. And one last time, are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, hearing no further nominations, we will proceed with the election. So as the number of nominees does not exceed the number of seats, available seats, we will move to elect by acclamation. So may I have a motion to approve the nominees as presented?
I'll motion to elect the standing directors and Megan Wise by acclamation.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
I'll second it. Ed Andrews, yeah.
Thank you, Ed. Is everybody in favor, or is there anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried by all. So big congratulations to our incoming board of directors, and thank you to everyone who has participated thus far and is continuing to participate for your commitment to Imerss. And we look forward to the year ahead and the work we will continue to do together as a board.
New business.
Yep. I think I'll pass it on to Andrew from here.
I think this is just a perfunctory thing on every agenda. It's the new business item at the end of an agenda that we almost have nothing to add to. So,
Andrew, I'll just interrupt for a sec. Lauren has asked, maybe we can share a little bit about Megan.
yeah, so I regret that Megan Wise is not present here today. And I sort of not prepared in the very moment to give a bio. I thought she would be here, so we were hoping, as we usually do, give opportunities for any incoming directors to speak. So I was sort of put on the spot here to call up Alicia. Actually, are you in a position to speak a little bit to her background? I just regret I don't want to say anything without having it sort of anything prepared here in the moment, other than to say that she's a wonderful person who I got to know fairly recently, and has a wonderful background in climate resiliency and especially in connection to communities. So we had a wonderful conversation about the role that she might play in the organization and in connection to her interests and passions. But short of having any accurate biographic information in front of me, I'm sort of hesitant to say anything.
I could add in just how I had come across Megan's work previously was she was the coordinator at the Climate Hub at UBC, and she's also a pretty incredible artist.
Mhm.
So that's sort of where I'd come into to encounter her work previously.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like when we sat down to talk about Imerss work, it's also lovely to see what the connections with you, Alicia and Hannah and other members of the board. I really think that I'm excited that um, the three of you, for some reason, I identify the three of you as really bringing some spirit to the multidisciplinary dimensions of Imerss apart from the scientific work that we do. I mean, work that's sort of more strictly scientific. Yeah, I'm really excited about bringing Megan on board and really trying to find a more deeper, more meaningful expression of multidisciplinarity within Imerss. So, um, yeah. And I know that she's specifically expressed interest in our communications. And since this year is a really big one for that, between we're bringing our new website online, a lot of the research is culminating. So there's quite a few things to report out on and just a lot of need there in that area around communication. So yeah, we're assembling a new committee that's sort of bringing together all of our former committees into just one committee. And I'm excited for the conversations that are going to take place there. Thanks for prompting that, Alicia. It's just a little awkward not having Megan here to sort of introduce herself. But yeah, that's it, I think. Emily, I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Yes, I think. I believe that's it. Sorry, my agenda is not loading.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't seem to pull up the agenda, unfortunately, because my internet has cut out. But
Let's see. I've kind of lost the slides here for a moment here. 1 second, stand by.
or is it
I
Hannah
think
or
we're
Lisa?
Yeah, I think we're at the end. That new business was the second to last item before adjournment. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So then I believe this wraps up our AGM for 2025. And unless anybody has any further comments to make, then we can adjourn our meeting.
Definitely be great to hear. We joked a little bit on the beginning of this meeting because we didn't have speakers this year. We decided there's a lot happening, so we wanted to just keep it simple for this year. But for those of you who are longstanding members who appeared today, we're just really grateful for your presence. And yeah, it'd be great to hear Michael add. Barb is here. She looks like she's gone now, but yeah, if you'd like to hear from you, if you have anything to share. Kath Quayle as well. She was quite involved this year with our algae sampling. So yeah, nice to hear a word from you if you have something to share.
Yeah, I would just say quickly, I've just been browsing through the Heticum website, and I hadn't explored it before, and really quite rich, really wonderful information, and a very attractive website. So look forward to seeing it continue to develop.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Or sorry, Michael. Yeah. We've shared previously, we've shared through newsletters. But I think particularly because of the sensitive nature of that work, we haven't really been like putting a lot of effort into putting it out there as a practice. But with the remainder of the funding, it's all about trying to bring it more attention to Retreat Cove and recognizing the sensitivity of that place. So I know Ed too, you might have something to comment on here, but so there's just a lot of conversation within the community about the best approach to that, and so that's still an ongoing dialogue.
Yeah, it would be good to see what could be advanced to help to raise awareness and protection for that area. This has sort of been on the back burner for a while, but it started a few years ago with a number of us meeting to see what can be done to maybe stop some of the trespass and really a lot of the activities that were disrespectful in that area. And now that there's the work done and the background work that's been done, I think maybe somehow being able to tap into that and possibly use that as a base to look at further communication, and with the people that are now on the board and such that have communication as part of their background experience and their capacity, it might be worth looking at what can be done to continue the work, because so much has been done there now, continues to be done, I gather, as far as the work with diatoms and other sampling, marine sampling that's going on, bringing in the cultural and long history and heritage aspects of what's going on to try and build more respect. That could be a good way of doing the work in a good way, or extending the work in a good way.
Yeah. In response, I'd just say that I guess there's two things that come to mind right now. One is the challenge of it being private property there. It's been a dilemma around, like, do you put up a sign if you put up a sign, does that only encourage it? We try to do no harm, but like, I guess insofar as that place is frequented no matter what by people, we've thought that at the very least what we can do is try and encourage greater respect among those who do visit there. But yeah, where does that sign go if it's essentially on private property, you know? So yeah, the thought was that we could link to the website with a QR code and such. But that's a big conversation with a number of different entities, I think. Ed, you'd speak well to this, I suppose. The CRD, Haiti, the private landowner. And I'm not really sure the way forward there.
I think you might want to further explore with CRD, and there is a public dock there, right? And so there are some designated area like the wharf, the dock, and maybe there's some more information to be placed there, but you don't want, as we're all very sensitive, you don't want to encourage people to go exploring either. It's a real challenge, but there is public access to that dock for sure. It is a publicly administered facility. I mean, government administered, local government administered. So yeah, it's an interesting issue all around.
And then other thing I wanted to mention was yeah, Theus, her connection to that place was one of the biggest reasons why we pursued that project. So honoring Florence James in some way, I know that's top of mind for Janine in whatever we do there. And we don't know what that looks like. But your point, I think, Ed, was, yeah, with the renewed capacity in the area of communications, and that being a really big part of, I think, what Imerss is going to be doing this next year or so. It'd be good to get input from, yeah, that committee we form, and Megan, what her thoughts might be, and everyone else on that committee. So.
Otherwise, the projects look really good. The publications really satisfying to see work culminating in publications going into recognized journals. It's really evolved and evolving very nicely. The work on the diatoms is always intriguing, and I think never ending. There'll be generations of work to do on diatoms, and each time you bring it a new substrate from somewhere, 50 feet from where you did before, there's going to be another world to explore, that kind of thing. So I think that's a never-ending source of publications and photos, and maybe continue to produce art from your micro photos or the scanning EM, and continue to have those art sales. I quite treasure the piece that I bought And hopefully there are others that may, as well, as a ongoing way of maybe raising some money and also creating awareness of just the absolute beauty of the micro world, let alone the significance of their role. I mean, they're just gorgeous, you know.
Mhm.
It's lovely, and maybe this is where science and art meet again. I'm not sure, but it really is an intriguing part of the ecosystem, and there it is, just right out there. And you know, we're unaware of it unless all this work is done to bring it to our awareness.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ed. I think it's been really fun. Imerss being this project of long-term ecological research. It truly is, like you said, sort of a never-ending story, and getting things to that stage of publication is really a challenge in that regard, because it, like I said, I brought up that red alga for Mark, and then all of a sudden he was just drawn into this vortex of discovery. And it's like, at some point we have to call it that, but there's a list now, a comprehensive species, an annotated checklist of nearly 1,000 species of diatoms. And the other neat insight or reflection, I think, is early into this work, Mark was somewhat self-conscious about, like, enlisting an authority, like bringing in the real authorities to make sure that this is done well. But I think it's been a few years of reckoning or coming to the realization that at this stage, Mark, just by virtue of his passion and dedication to that practice, he's kind of become himself the authority for the region at this point. And that says a lot about, I think, natural history work in general. It's often just passionate people who care a lot about this stuff who end up playing.
Harvey Jansen of the deep.
Yes, he's true.
I agree. And his guru was in Poland, but he died. So now he's the guru.
Mhm. Mhm. But yeah, we'll be excited to share it. It's actually nearly within reach. It might turn into two papers actually, because the first one's really substantial annotated checklist of species. So it's like very long and it's just a list, but it identifies the different sources for the information, whether historical data or voucher specimens that were collected, or his own taxonomic work and the SEMs and microscopy that Ian Lane and others have been doing, or a lot of the molecular. We've done 3 or 4 molecular surveys now, and there's other molecular data for the region. So it's kind of it's pretty impressive just as an annotated checklist. But we were invited to submit to botany, and the editors have agreed that if we put the annotated checklist into the journal called Checklist, which is probably where it would be best published, they would invite a submission that is in a kind of an analysis of the gaps between what we know based on morphological work and historical work versus increasing molecular work, because the molecular surveys are really only as effective as the database behind. When you collect some molecular data, the database has to be well populated. And so there are gaps that need to be filled, and there's still an important reliance on more traditional taxonomic work. That was a message that came out of that recent paper that came out too. And Emily could speak to that a little bit, but this would be the similar message, but for the whole region of the Salish Sea. Yeah, no, it's exciting. This is a big year of culmination of quite a few things that Imerss has been up to for a long time now. Kath, can we put you on the spot to say something, just in the spirit of hearing from our membership who appeared today?
Hi, everybody. I helped out with the seaweed project this year and had a lot of fun. Also, I would like to say the art side of it is really, really cool. I did a lot of pressings and they've turned out to be really beautiful. So I was quite sad to give them to Andrew to take to the BT because now they have them all. But I did actually do a few for myself, and I made a nice poster. So I'm going to give you one, Andrew, when I next see you. And yeah, I think maybe if you're having other art exhibits, like seaweed is an amazing medium to have as an art. So. And I'm looking forward to doing other projects with you guys. It's really fun to go sampling and to get involved. So yeah, the next thing that comes up, keep me on the email list.
Thanks, Kath. Yeah, your work is beautiful. And so I will say, yeah, we have nearly 200 samples. They are at UBC now. we have a volunteer, an undergrad named Aliana, who is working through that, and we're doing some triage because Hakai is going to sequence like 96 of them. But we're gonna have a whole bunch of duplicates of the same species, and there's some gorgeous things. A lot of what you did, Kath, are like the most beautiful pressings, and so not all of them necessarily need to be deposited. And we were gonna look at the possibility of maybe framing some. I think Ed, you had suggested that, like, we still have a lot of Mark's prints and stuff like that too. And this year, it seems unlikely we're gonna put together a big event that happens in like in a venue or anything, but maybe an online auction or something like that could be appropriate to as a fundraiser. Because yeah, it's almost something I'd like to continue to do every year. Just continue to sample algae because it's such a satisfying practice and brings together the science and art in a beautiful way for sure. So thanks, Kath. Yeah, thanks so much for your involvement this year. It was a joy to do that work with you. Well, I think we formally concluded the agenda and everything, Emily. Yep, it's over.
Yes, we have formally concluded. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words about how, how we've been progressing as an organization, and would like to say again that we really appreciate all your support over the past years.
Thanks very much, everyone. It's been a good AGM and a nice catch up, and great work.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording.